it turns out that the word in Greek that's used for a guest room was misidentified by the King James Bible and by other Bibles that were written around the same time as an inn. They are now saying that this word would be much more appropriately called a guest room. And the whole problem comes from the fact that there is a manger in this story. A manger, which is a carved out place in the rock, or it's usually rock, could be wood, where they put hay for the animals to eat out of. And it seems people in England, when they were translating this from the Greek, there was a lot of scholars, they assumed that a manger must go into a stable or barn. So they assumed there wasn't any room for them where people stay, which would have been an inn in England, and they had to go to a barn. So how many pageants have we seen where Mary and Joseph go to the door and they knock, and is there any room? And the door gets slammed in their face, and they're turned away. Everybody turns them away. The Mother of God, they're turning away. And they go off alone to a stable. Well, we think that's wrong. I hate to say this. It ruins a lot of our Christmas carols. However, theologically and accurately, it makes much more sense. Middle Eastern homes in this area of the Near East in those days had a terrace, which was where the family slept. And the area by their front door was dirt. And when they went out at night to gather their animals and bring them in for the night, which is also in Scripture, and people think when you bring animals in, you bring them into a what? Barn. No, they brought them into their homes. And most of Middle Easterners know this, and if you look at these same scriptures in Syrian and Arabic, it's always said guest room. It never said inn. So here's a little clue. What they do is these are poor people, peasants, ordinary people, who have a 1 or 2 room home where the animals are on the bottom floor where there's dirt. They come in for the night and they go out during the day to eat and do their thing, and the women clean the floors of whatever happened in the night. But the terrace puts everybody who's human on a level that's not dirty, it's clean. And the guest room is on that same level, or sometimes up another level above. So when Mary and Joseph arrive in Bethlehem, there's another thing that hasn't been figured out with this stable business, which is Joseph was well known in Bethlehem. He is the descendant of David. He would have had some clout. He would have known many cousins in Bethlehem, and he would be honored when he came. Would they turn him away? They would not turn him away. And what they think happens is that he came to the family home where there was so many people, because everybody had to register, that their guest room was full. So they had to stay with the family in the family room. And the family room was one big room. They took a look at Mary's condition, and this would be the perfect room for her to stay, because when it came time to have the baby, the women would shoo the men out, and that would be the best room with the most access to many women who would help her with the birth. And they know from looking at history that this happens. So they have to reorient our whole heads. But I went immediately for the theological truth that this says. Instead of being thrown off, away from their family and away from their clan, their people, their church, they are enveloped into the midst of the family. And this is much more how our little germ of Christianity started when the apostles went out to visit people. They went into their homes and they stayed with them. And when the family were baptized, the family as a whole unit became converted to Christ. Just like those who were there for Jesus to be born most likely were converted by the beauty of this incredible baby boy that shepherds came to see, and they weren't 3 wise men either, but that's another sermon. People from the East came and brought many gifts. There were 3 gifts, but there weren't necessarily 3 of them, and they weren't necessarily all men. Oh darn, I said it. So going back to the theological theme here, Luke's gospel is focused in two different books, which most of us didn't know in Sunday school either. The second book, according to Luke, is the book of the Acts of the Apostles. And everything that happens in the first book happens in the second book, only it's the birth of the Christianity instead of the birth of Christ and the spread of the gospel. In the Acts, it's the growing up of Jesus and the way to the cross. So this focus on the family unit is what Luke focuses on in the telling of the story of the Acts of the Apostles and the church growing. We all together here consider ourselves a family. We're the family of Zion, right? This is our family. And we have our family worship in our own homes, but when we come to celebrate anything major, like the birth of Jesus Christ, we gather together. This is our home. And Jesus is in the center. And because he's in the center, when you set up a little manger scene, we don't have any mangers that have this discovery in it. But the focus of this manger scene is Jesus, right? And we're all focused on Jesus. Think about who in this scene will be there when Jesus dies. One of them will be. Do you know which one it is? Mary. They all leave. There's no kings coming to offer him anything when he's on the cross. But Mary is there for the whole thing. So if you look at that, the context of what happens in Jesus' life, you see Mary in a different light also. She was there at the beginning. She had the promise from the angel. She knows what's going to happen, and she never leaves his side. Just as we never leave his side, just as we have prepared for us in our own hearts a manger for Jesus to live, where he has his whole life lived out in us. We know what happens from beginning to end. We know how easy it is to forget our faith. So we carry it right here and invite Jesus in all the time. Where when we remember to look, we usually find him. He's there. So we celebrate the Jesus that is born in our hearts. But the Jesus who is born every day, anyone remembers that the walk of the cross is the walk of the manger. And it's all a matter of joy and singing, because we have been loved enough to receive him into our heart. Merry Christmas.